TV. Today, we're doing something concerning 2023 election, and it has to do with the issues of possible rerun. What are the challenges, and what are the image questions that we're going to grapple with? I am today having USTAZ LAWAL JUBRIL. USTAZ LAWAL JUBRIL is a public commentator, is a mediator, conciliator, a development worker, and also the director, Justice and Peace Initiative for National Development. You are welcome, sir.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's nice having you. Well, before the arrival of the legal practitioner, we would like to, first of all, have a general assessment of 2023 election. When we now zero in on the political parties, what's the general view? How do you see the political parties performing in this coming general election?
Oh, thank you so much. Once again, I'll say good evening to our listeners at home, and for all those that are, with us here. It's good to be here, and the program, the image, it can only be the image too, because I doubt if there's anything that institution can do that can go better than trying to project the better image for whoever they have, relationship with. And let's see 2023. How do we image it? And when I say imaging, I mean how do we mirror it in a way that people understand its proper context of what is happening? Quite a number of people believe that 2023 is going to be an election like no other one in Nigeria. And
why do you say so?
Yes, that's because of the newfound awareness, and the word newfound is used carefully by me in inverted commas. And when you look at it, you realize that the younger generation, who for now happens to occupy the largest part of the percentage of our demography, seems to be interested. They are keen, they want to be part of it, they want to participate. And it shows in the way they trooped out for registration when the CVR was going on. CVR means Continuous Voters Register. They trooped out and they registered all across board. And at a point in time, INEC was even saying that they were overwhelmed with that. So with the kind of enthusiasm that we have found in them, with the kind of interest they've displayed, quite a number of us have seen 2023 like an election like no other one. And when you look at the way the obedience, because the surprise of 2023 is no doubt when you have any competition, you will see a team that will just suddenly come from nowhere, that is going to rattle, people that we have known.
The frontliners.
The frontliners, people that they're always there, they have the record. And that's what an obedience is doing now to the election in 2023. He is having a mammoth crowd. He is having quite a large number of teeming youths supporting him. And like we have always wanted to identify them when we are doing analysis, those that have an axe to grind with Nigeria, an axe to grind with the holders of Nigeria. They have this anger that is burning in them. They feel the oldies have not done it well, and they are looking for something that they feel represents them. Unfortunately, the way things are, the only person they feel has what it takes that represents them is Obi. Why I said unfortunately is because we have a Showore there, and quite a number of other people that are still young, but they are believing that because they're not part of the old schools, that could really sway the election. They want to invest their money where they feel it's going to really worth investment. So, and that's why I said 2023 is going to be an election like no other one. Another reason why I said that is INEC in itself. And for the first time at the national level, we are going to do what I want to call hybrid election. And hybrid, I mean hybrid by, we're going to have the normal analog system of process, and also the e-process. E-process means BVAS. This biometric verification system they are bringing in. For the first time, we are seeing INEC doing what they call the cleanup of the voters register under the ABIS. That is the automatic biometric information system, where they came out to tell us that, look, listen, in Kano, about 2.7 million are not eligible to vote. For the first time, we are seeing that. And that's another, shocking aspect of it. And we're not really surprised if you see anybody coming in to want to attack, INEC office in Abeokuta, the local government. I've asked a question: what is of value, or what could be of value at this present time that could make anybody want to attack an INEC office? Is it because of ballot papers? No. Is it because of Viva's machine? No.
There will be so many questions that we're going to ask. Let's have a break. We'll come back soon.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine this. Your friend says to you, "Hey man, look what my big bro sent to me. It appears there's an easy way to stop the virus from entering your body." And then you say, "Oh wow, please forward it to me, let me share." And then you send it to one person who sends it to other people, and they share it with other people, all without verifying this information. This misinformation might get more people infected and lives lost. Now, imagine this. Your friend says to you, "Hey man, look what my big bro sent to me. It appears there's an easy way to stop the virus from entering your body." And then you say, "How sure are you this information is legit? Is it from the WHO or the NCDC websites?" Dude, please verify every information about the coronavirus from the NCDC or the WHO websites. Well, you see, you have just stopped the spread of fake info. Remember to tell your big bro, WhatsApp info does not mean correct info. Think about it.
Welcome back to Your Image, your public relations flagship program on TV. I'm glad to welcome Barrister KAYODE ADEREMI to the studio. It's been a long time we had him last. And Barrister, well, when I said Barrister, he's a legal practitioner of note. And I don't know whether he's obedient or not. Whichever way, you're glad to be with us this afternoon.
Thank you, sir.
Well, we were discussing the issue of general assessment of the political parties. Are we going to have a straight fight, or are we going to have possible rerun at the coming election? Can we do an assessment of the players, talking about the political parties now? What is the vision, and what is the expectation?
Well, there's a possibility of a rerun, not particularly because of the strength of any particular candidate, in my view, but because of pockets of unrest and violence in certain places. There's a certain quota, that whoever is to emerge or to be declared presidential, winner in the polls, has to have gathered across the country. But we know that currently, in the eastern part of Nigeria particularly, there are pockets of violence. In fact, they've been very specific to threaten rather, that next year's election would not hold in certain places, local governments and maybe even states. We don't have such pointed threats in the north, but what we have there is perhaps even worse, where you have bombings. I read in the news today, for example, that some soldiers were overrun and some were killed. So it will be difficult to have such. So where that happens, there might be chances of a run. Remember, during Osun elections, that was in 2018, governorship election, there were pockets of violence in some places, and some elections,
disrupted the process.
Exactly. I'm not talking about the one that happened this year, although it was with, between Adeleke and Oyetola then too. There were some violence, erupted in some places, and the results of those places were declared inconclusive. So we had to have a rerun, I think that involved this other man, this SDP man at the time, where they broke out whatever with him. So where we have violence in certain places and some results are, cancelled or not conclusive, rerun will happen. And the new Electoral Act, which was enacted February 2022, the last amendment, has quite interesting features. For example, those that are hoping to go to court then should bear in mind that one of the bases or grounds where any court would even entertain filing or hearing of a rerun suit is that if, for example, a particular election in a particular place was cancelled, say local government X, all right, and the total election, total registered voters, for example, accredited voters, in fact, in that place, if everything were to be added to the vote of someone that has lost, and the person will still not win. Let me give an example. Okay. Accredited voters in local government, KAYODE, is 5,000. Okay. All right? And then you and USTAZ ran elections. USTAZ had 50,000 votes. You had 10,000 votes.
And the accredited people were 5,000.
5,000. So even if you go to court and the court gives you the 5,000, you still can't be up to half of what he has. So in that case, there's no point. The law is so clear on that. So whoever wants to go to court, they are hearing, should even hear that. Some will tell me, even 2019 elections, some said they wanted to go to court, and I asked them, which areas do you have issues with and you have proofs, evidence? They said X, Y, Z. Okay, what is the total accredited number of voters? They told me, I said, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. They couldn't even disturb our justice.
Because only the accredited people are the ones that will bring out the results.
Exactly. So even if they add all the votes to your vote, it will still not be up to. But in the case of Oyetola and what's his man's name, Adeleke, you saw that the time it was a very yes, it was 2018. Right. It was very close, such that if you add the area that was declared inconclusive to the vote of either of them, it could determine who won or who did not win. So those are the things to bear in mind. But there could be a rerun for reasons I've stated earlier.
Well, beyond the areas that Barrister had enumerated, what are the legal implications when there is a rerun? And how prepared is the agency, talking about INEC, and how prepared is the political parties, or are the political parties that are going to be involved? What do you see as a big challenge to them?
I do not see much of a challenge except for security reasons. As we speak, the law has, the Electoral Act, of course, there are subsidiary legislations. We have guidelines for elections to release by any two parties, really. So where such happens, the law has already stipulated what exactly to be done and within the time frame that such must be done, right? Even since 2018, the laws had always been there. I think within 14 days or so.
21 days.
21 days. Right. Another one must be, had again. So there is already a time frame of what to be done. All parties know that, of course, they are to represent their candidate, etc., etc. So there is no much conflict or loopholes when it comes to that, really.
Do you see the coming election being free, fair, and inclusive?
Well, it's going to be free, fair, and it will have credibility. But before I go into that, let me quickly take on some of the issues raised by Barrister from the question you answered. Technically, for anybody to win as a president of Nigeria, you must have, the highest number of votes casted at that particular election, and also 25% of the votes casted in 2/3 of, 36 states. That is in 24 states,
including FCT.
Including FCT. It therefore means that 12 states might not be relevant. When I say might not be relevant, is that if you have, the highest number of votes, and you have 25% in, in 24 states already, the other 12 states might not be relevant, even if you don't score much there. Now, why did I need to bring that out? He premised his reason for Rerun, what he thinks might be a reason for Rerun, because of the fact that in Southeast, we might not be able to have election, or there might be, pockets.
But not only in the Southeast, there are some other peculiarities.
I'm coming to that. In the Southeast, they are likely to see, violence, and or the election might not hold, and also some elements, some part of the North. Yes, I agree with him, but there'll be an election in the Southeast. there'll be an election in the southeast.
Even in the north, with the these bandits or whatever.
I am coming to that.
Aha.
I'm taking one after the other.
Okay.
I know we have time limit, but because what we are having now regarding violence and banditry and whatever isn't as much as what we had in 2015. Isn't as much as what we had in 2019. Yet election held in those places. What I'm trying to say in essence is the upsurge in banditry violence in the northeast has really come down to a minimal level. And I don't see it raising or rearing its head before 2020, before February this year. The military is doing a lot of things. But even where it happens, and let's say the election did not hold in Southeast as a whole. I am not a lawyer, but even if we want to count it to a part of the 2/3, 1/3 or whatever, it is just 5 states that we're talking about. It still will not be able to overturn the election result because we need, 24, and you easily get 24 from whatever is left. That's why I feel that it might play a role, but might not be enough reason, to have a wrong. Why I think there might be a wrong, like I told you, are the influx of the new people that are coming into the voters register. And that's why politicians are agitated. I asked a question.
Well,
why would anybody want to
let me come in here. The influx of the people is a general influx. And it does not mean that a political party is the one bringing them in. So it cuts across people with different intentions and all that. And it's also just adding to the number of the people, number of voters and participants.
I don't share that view, sir.
Well,
maybe if let me land.
Okay.
Like I told you, the age perimeter, the demography of those that are saying they are obedient are not the oldest. Quite a number of them have not voted before. Not because of age, because they are disenchanted with Nigeria, but with an OB coming in, we saw the way they mobilize themselves to have themselves on the register. And a politician, a veteran politician, realizes that this is dangerous for them.
Well, that's your opinion. That's the opinion. There's no how to find the mark construction in the face. So I will want to believe that.
So why would anybody want to attack INEC local government office in the southwest, not southeast? Why?
No, there are security issues everywhere.
Why would anybody want to go and burn?
Okay, let's not.
What is the value that is there that everybody wants to go and burn the INEC office for? Let's look at it. Let's debate it.
What do you perceive as the issue?
Because of the PVC. Simple as ABC. The only thing of value in INEC office now is the PVC.
And it will continue to be of value.
It might not be of value in the future. If INEC eventually are able to get their act together and they're able to use BVAS, the way it should be used, the PVC will become irrelevant.
Well, we can argue that because even if the PVC is not available, if people are disgruntled, if they have certain angers to vent, other infrastructures can be attacked. So it's not only PVC. There are other materials for the coming election that can be attacked.
Another institution.
Let's take it one by one so that we can contain all that we have. When we look at the continuous voters registration, there's a case that we had a judgment saying that, compelling INEC to do a continuous
to
continue with the registration of new voters. How do you think we can cope with this? Is the law permitting that?
Well, any students of law, in fact, from 100 level, we do Nigeria Legal Study, NLS. And in NLS, one of the things that subtopics we look into are sources of law in Nigeria. One of the sources of law are judicial pronouncements, judicial authorities. Okay. What the judge says, the law is, all right? That's why when Peter Obi was impeached, he went to court, court said he's the one that should be there and was returned. Okay. We have a lot of examples like that. So once the court said so, remember, those that went to court challenged the guidelines of INEC, saying that they will stop at XYZ time, all right? INEC was represented in the court. They had their time to defend their position. And whoever took them to court to had his or her time to defend his position. And in the wisdom of the presiding judge, he was of the opinion that those that are saying that it should be extension had more basis, more reasons, to justify, extension. But execution of that judgment or compliance is a different ballgame. I was in INEC office today, not national, not state, a particular local government, and I just asked a question. Today, as I was driving from Ibadan, I went to a court in Ibadan, and I just stopped by, and I was coming to Abeokuta, that I want to get my PVC. No, I want to do a transfer, and they said, no, it has closed. So the person with me knows the law and said, excuse me, he was telling the next staff, there's a judgment saying that so and so, and that person said, our guy at the top has not, I'm paraphrasing, has not told us. So they are waiting for Yakubu Mahmoud to pass the directives. Yeah, so maybe he has done that, maybe he hasn't, but I will take the word of that staff for it, that they have not been told to continue. So they told me I could not do transfer. I don't need the transfer anyway, I just asked to see whether they were complying with the court order.
In your own opinion, is the process something that can be interchanged?
Honestly, I don't see why it should be stopped or paused. I don't see why. And that's one of the reasons I have. If they had a strong reason for wanting to pen it, suspend it, they should have brought that to the knowledge of the court. Can you imagine, for example, applying for an ATM card, and bank will tell you that you suspended it for some reason? That elections we hold next year, in my view, should not mean that should be suspended, except they are saying that by reason of continuous production or issuance, it could hamper election, there could be fraud, and that has to be established. But until that, remember, those in INEC are not the wisest, just like judges are not the wisest. But when you come before a judge, you present all your facts, and that has been done. It has been put to test. And the authority and law today is that it should be continuous. So whether they comply or not.
Do you have any opinion?
Plenty.
Okay.
The presiding judge went on to say, looking at the time frame before the election, implementing that judgment this election semester will vary what INEC has done. So it therefore means that even the presiding judge does not expect INEC to implement that judgment, given. That's one of the third ruling. Number two is that we need to still look into the Electoral Act and other legislature, subsidiary ones, supporting election. What do I mean? The law says within 90 days, before the election, INEC is expected to, INEC is expected to do voters display, claims and objectives, and said 90 days. So when you want to do voters objection and claim whatever and display, etc., 90 days to election, and you still want people to keep on registering 90 days election, that seems to be an impossible thing for now.
Well, in his opinion, that seems to be an impossible action for now.
Administratively.
We will look at that contemporarily when we come up next week for this further discussion on this statement that we are having. 2023 election and possible rerun, the challenges and the image question. Vice Aderemi, thank you for making it today.
Thank you, sir.
I'm glad, I'm always at peace when I see you around. Your smiles give me confidence. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And I hope next week we're going to be together.
By the grace of God.
Thank you so much. USTAZ, LAWAL JUBRIL, thank you for coming. We will continue our discussion next week. We'll be looking into other areas. Viewers, this is how far we can go this week. We will continue with our discussion on this particular topic. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for making this program take. Till next week, bye.